the Ron and Brian Podcast. Get ready to fill your ears with the latest news, politics, current events, and whatever else we feel like talking about this week. And now, your hosts, Ron and Brian.
And good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 294 of the Ron and Brian Podcast. It is Sunday night, and Pookie is looking fire. How are you tonight, Brian?
I'm feeling great. It is Sunday night. We're sitting here. It's the weekend is over, but in some ways it's really just beginning. And that's one of the things I find special about this show is the fact that, and I believe it was during your fourth term as champion of the podcast back in, I believe that was 87, when you said to me, hey, instead of doing the show on Tuesday nights, as we had been doing, you said, let's move it to Sunday. And I sat there. I didn't see the wisdom at the time. I pushed back, if I remember correctly.
You did,
but as being a 49% owner, I understood I had to just eat crow, take whatever it was that you were dishing. And once again, as it's happened before, it was another just genius decision on your part. Doing these shows Sunday nights really just... It ensures that there is absolutely no anxiety for the work week ahead, and it just gives me another opportunity to talk to you, Ron.
There you go. It's the closure for the weekend, as you like to say.
Ron,
yes, sir.
How are you doing? We always ask about me. I want to ask about you.
I can't complain, Brian. It was a good week, good weekend, good times were had. Time spent with friends, time spent with loved ones, and now time spent with another loved one, you, here for this next hour and change on the podcast. Let's keep it going with Drink of the Week.
Drink of the Week.
Na zdrowie.
Salud.
Drink of the Week.
Sláinte.
Drink of the week. Drink of the week. Drink of the week. Drink of the week.
Brian, what do you bring in to drink this week?
Listen, it is the first weekend of March, so I'm doing what any normal American would do, and that's to go into the archives in your beer fridge and pull out a holiday white ale from Sam Adams. Most people would sit there and say, "Oh, it's March. I'm going to start drinking my Guinnesses for upcoming St. Patrick's Day." No. I'm clearing out the oldies. And here we look at that haze. Look at that
nice.
Look. Sam Adams Holiday White Haze is crisp and zesty with holiday flavors like cinnamon, nutmeg, and a dusting of orange peel. Just perfect. Just perfect for a Sunday night. Whether I'm spicing up the holidays, keep in mind this was 2.5 months ago, spicing up the holiday office party, or looking for the perfect already wrapped gift 2 months ago, white ale is light and bright with enough hop character to cheer me on through this holiday season. Sit back and enjoy the holiday frenzy. Coming in at a 5.8 ABV, 82% score for Beer Advocate. This is Sam Adams Holiday White Ale.
There you go. Well, it is Easter season now. More importantly, it's officially my birthday month, so I guess that's technically a holiday for us here at the podcast.
Will we be celebrating your birthday next week?
I figured we might as well.
Will next week be the official birthday episode where we do a "This Is Your Life"?
Yes, we'll run it back, as you like to say. How is the beer, by the way? We got all tied up in me. Make it about you.
It's okay. It tastes like soda to a non. It's too carbonated. It feels like it's I'm drinking a beer flavored seltzer. That's how I would describe it. I'm giving this 2 thumbs down. Ron, what are you drinking this week?
So this week, Brian, I pulled something. I think I've had this on the show before, but I'm not quite sure. In honor of the Glasgow Willy Wonka experience that went viral this past week from Pontoon Brewing, this is the Snozberry Crumble. It's a Berliner style Weiss. How do they describe it here? With cherry, blackberry, black currant, graham cracker, cinnamon, vanilla, and your favorite and mine, lactose. This is clocking in at, does this even have an alcohol content on it? Is that even legal to not list the alcohol content? 6.5%. It's got a nice tart looking body to it. You say that's kind of a reddish hue to that beer?
I would agree with that.
Oh, yeah. Now I remember this one. It's tart. It's definitely tart. It's tasty, but it's a little
like tart.
on the tart side. I do like tart. It just kind of kind of catches you off guard that first sip.
So it's a little too tart, is what you're saying.
A little too tart. It's got a little twang at the end. Regardless, a significant upgrade over last week's drink of the week.
Oh, well, come on. Last week, for those people that missed out last week, we were By the way, is my neckline more exposed than yours?
It might be. You're showing a little bit more chest than I am this week. Billy's asking, is it sour? It's a little sour, more tart than sour, I would say.
What's the difference between tart and sour?
I look at sour as almost like a bitterness, whereas a tartness is more like a citrusy vibe to me.
I'll take it. I'll take that.
All right.
I'll accept it.
Very good. Well, you know what's up, Brian? Beef of the week.
Ron and Brian's Beef of the Week.
All right, Brian, what's bothering you this week?
Got a couple. First off, let me clear my throat because this is getting important. I have an update from my Beef of the Week last week. Last week, for regular viewers, people that are know the deal, my Beef of the Week last week was BetMGM for offering a $150 bonus bet for signing up for their service. So I signed up for the service. I put down the minimum deposit. I gambled with it, won a little bit, and did not receive my bonus bet. Well, earlier this week, I found on the app a place where I could reach out for customer service. So I did send a message complaining as to why I did not get my bonus bet. I finally heard back last night. Got an email back from BetMGM. I'm not going to read it because I deleted the email. Was
it Jamie Foxx directly emailing you about it, or someone lower on the totem pole?
No, if it was Jamie Foxx, it would be all poorly typed because of his recent stroke. Illuminati induced stroke, from what if you believe Cat Williams. But their message was basically, the gist of it was, we're sorry that you didn't receive that promotion. Currently, our promotion is $100 in bonus bets if you refer a new user. Click this link to get somebody to join.
That's awesome. The ball's on that.
The fuck you that these people were issued to me via email. Just brutal. So I will be trying to figure out how I can delete my account, let alone delete the app. I will never be using BetMGM.
So in essence, they basically emailed you and was like, Brian, if you really want to do the work, you need to bring more people into the fold. You need to bring 5 followers. You need to bring 5 followers. They went full cult on you.
Yes. So that is my update of the beef. My second, and this is my preliminary. What the fuck was that?
I have no idea where those.
What did you
do?
From.
I didn't do a damn thing. Yeah.
Where did the balloons come from? I have no idea. I've got my hands up. That was not me. Holy shit! What did I say? I said something that triggered balloons. This is not. This is weird. So my next beef is that my nose has been running for about 4 days now. And if you see me do this, it's because I don't want it to be visible that I have mucus just running down my upper lip. So I'm going to be wiping my nose. I probably should get some tissues in here. I don't think I have any. Hold on. I think I do have some tissues. So I'll be using tissues this week.
All right, good. Good to hear.
I can't stop my nose running this week, and it's been very frustrating. Though my real beef of the week, let's get to it. That was a follow-up beef, so you have an actual beef of the week. Ah, hot damn. See how wet that is? I can actually look right through it. That is mucus.
Good point. Allie thinks maybe you're hanging with Matt too much. A little bit of the nose candy.
No. My real beef of the week. As loyal listeners of the show know, about a month or so ago, I was complaining about being irregular with my bowel movements, that I had gone through a stretch of about 5 days where I had not done a number two, done a lot of number ones, but not a number two in that stretch. So everybody, I think it was the Patreon we talked about it. So those after dark people are more sensitive to my bowel movements. So I went out and I made an appointment with a gastroenterologist and made an appointment to go see them. Went earlier this week. Left work early. I had a 3:00 appointment with my gastroenterologist. What time do you think it was when I got called in from the waiting room?
So it was a 3:00 appointment. You checked in probably
3:00
right
appointment.
at 3:00. I am going to say 4:22.
No, not that bad. 3:55, they called my name.
That's still pretty bad.
Twice I walked up to the front desk to ask how much longer I was going to have to wait. Both times I was told, I don't know. I'm like, well, if you don't know, who else would know?
Right. Who back there might have an idea.
Is the American healthcare system where you can be made to wait for 55 minutes and not receive an apology, still be expected to pay your copay. They have to make their money. The blatant disrespect for my time, my feelings. What did I just complain about my feelings? God, I'm going to regret that.
Do you want to talk about your feelings, Brian?
Not right now. Not right now.
All right.
You know what I do want to talk about is this. Is that as I got out of the gastroenterologist, I received this bag.
Okay.
I was told that because of my irregularities, I might also want to take some Dulcolax, whatever it's called.
Ducalax.
To take 4 of those in addition to whatever the fuck this is. So on March 13th, people.
Oh, they give you the whole thing. So that's like Miralax there. You got to fill that up with like water or green Gatorade, right?
I got to fill up to this line. Yep. This line. Keep in mind, this is the first time I'm seeing this thing. This is intimidating. This is utterly intimidating that I have to drink all of this just to get a clean colon. So I'll be filling this with water on March 13th. For people who are on our Patreon, you're going to want to keep your phones handy, keep your laptops happy. I will be putting a lot of content on our Patreon that day. Videos of me on the bowl. You will be able to hear it. You know, it's behind the paywall, so this way you don't have to worry about the kids listening. You need a credit card to be paying for it. But we will make sure that there are lots. And then hold on, there's a lemon flavor pack tucked in on the side.
There you go.
Yes. March 14th is the colonoscopy. So March 13th, I think that is a Wednesday, people. If you're not a member of our Patreon, go to our website now. Click what's the website? RonandBrianPodcast.com. Click the link in the upper right-hand corner, and you will be able to receive notification on March 13th when I start my colon cleanse, updated throughout. Maybe we'll put some stuff on Twitter, social media to try and drive more traffic to it. But if you want to hear me taking dumps multiple times, there will be video.
I will say this. I would get yourself some lemon lime Gatorade to mix that in, because it will mask the taste a little bit better than just pure water.
So what am I supposed to? So I'm supposed to put the Gatorade in the jug?
Yeah, put the Gatorade. Because what I did for mine, because I had to like get like containers of Miralax and mix it up myself. Like Billy said, your doctor, I didn't. Same here. Billy had to buy all of his stuff. I had to buy all of my stuff. So that's actually a pretty nice deal that they gave you everything they needed together. But I had to mix up like, a gallon container and drink it a gallon at a time. And it's a little chalky. So you want to have another flavor in there other than just pure water. But you can't do red Gatorade.
Okay.
You can't do orange Gatorade. You can't do blue Gatorade. You can only do the green Gatorade. Because, did they tell you to like stay away from like red Jello and things like that?
I got a piece of paper to go with to help me prep. I have not read it yet.
All right. There's some prep stuff, certain medications you have to stop. You're not supposed to, nuts, fruits with heavy skins, things like that. So read through it.
You're saying I'm not allowed to nut before this thing?
That you can do. You can do that even during the process if you want.
I did ask if I could go to Taco Bell the night before. He just kind of stared at me. Ron, let me ask you a question. As somebody who recently did have their colonoscopy not that long ago, what's bothering you this week?
So my beef of the week this week, Brian, I'm not sure who exactly my beef is with, but I will tell you that the big news here in the Philadelphia area is that the Philadelphia Phillies announced that they are not going to have any dollar dog days during this upcoming season. They have had dollar hot dog days, I think, going back to 1997. With last week, or last season being the last one. Apparently, they will do buy one get one. So hot dogs are $5, so you'll get 2 for $5. But but the dollar dog, it's a tradition, and I think part of the blame lies with social media because
I would say all of it.
Because dollar dog days used to somewhat fly under the radar, like people knew about them, but then people would take it upon themselves to go to the stadium and attempt to eat as many hot dogs as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I think the last dollar dog day they did at Citizens Bank Park. Would you like to guess how many hot dogs they sold that day?
I'm going to say, what is attendance there? About 40,000?
I think you're probably 45, 50,000 range.
Okay. We'll call it 45. I'm going to say the stadium wasn't packed. There were 38,000 people there. We'll go 35,000. Not everybody was doing it. I'm going to say they sold 100,000 hot dogs.
A little on the high side. They sold 41,000 hot dogs.
All right.
Not
That's still
everybody
a lot of hot dogs. Right.
But like
right.
you would literally see
freaking
people,
vegans.
You would literally see people, having, 10, 12, 15 hot dogs.
Of course.
I think I sent you a video of a guy relaying a story from his cousin, and Allie's saying this too because of food fights in the stands. There was this guy who went on TikTok talking about how his cousin had finished a 13th hot dog, and somebody in the back was like, do 14, and like threw a hot dog at him, which then apparently resulted in just hot dogs being thrown at this man. And then when security came into the section, video. And then when security came into the area, people just randomly throwing hot dogs at the security guards as well.
Wait a second, there's security at Citizens Park?
There is.
What?
There is.
Really? Man, Philly's not what it used to be. What I remember was, and I guess you sent me a lot of videos and then it got onto my algorithm. What I remember was the 1 hot dog per inning challenge that a lot of people were doing, where each inning they were eating a hot dog. And the thing that's brutal about that is you can probably do 9 hot dogs in the first hour, before your stomach really gets a sense to settle in. But if you're starting in the first inning and you are still eating your 9th hot dog 3 hours later, the amount of bread that you've put in there, I imagine your stomach, that's more difficult than just trying to eat 9 hot dogs.
Yeah.
I was actually looking forward to giving it a shot this year, but apparently we're not. But 2 for $5?
It's not bad, but it's certainly,
it's not the same.
It's not the same because then you're paying You're paying $45 for. Well, no, am I doing the math right? No, you're paying like $20 for $25 for 9 innings versus $9.
Your math. Correct.
It's
correct.
Bidenomics is really.
Correct.
No one wants to say it, but this is Joe Biden's America, Brian.
Listen, when Donald Trump was president, we had dollar hot dogs.
We had dollar hot dog days.
We also had COVID. That literally shut down the ability to attend a baseball game. But let's not blame Donald Trump for that. We handled that very well.
Brian, we can look at COVID just like we look at the flu. That's all there is to it.
Speaking of which, did you see that the CDC announced yesterday that if you are COVID positive, so long as you are not exhibiting signs of a fever, you do not need to quarantine or isolate at all anymore.
Yeah. It's listen, we have reached
It's
that.
just like everything else.
I think we said it a few years ago. There is a level of death that Americans find acceptable for certain situations, whether it's
Sure.
alcohol, gun violence, COVID. As long as it gets to a level where only a certain percentage of the population is
Sure.
dying. A good point. When you get COVID for the 9th time, like Billy says, you won't need to isolate this time.
I haven't tested for COVID in about 2 years, so for all I know, I've had it 9 times. I could have it right
very
now.
possible.
I don't know.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. So
Maybe
what do we
that's why
got
this
this week,
beer
Brian?
tastes flat. Maybe that's why the beer is not hitting me that well. Ron, I think we start off with the stories of the week. No?
Okay. I think you're correct, Brian. What story did you bring to the table this week?
Okay. First off, I'm going to bring a complaint. And I know for those people who are fans of the show who listen regularly, it's shocking to them that I would bring a complaint to the table. But earlier this week, hold on, I think I'm going to sneeze. Yeah, I think I have a cold.
Could be
earlier this week. You can put a photo. Do we have a photo of Aaron Bushnell? Trigger warning.
We do.
Aaron Bushnell. Okay, so Aaron Bushnell, a member of the U.S. Air Forces, died after setting himself on fire outside of the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C., after screaming "Free Palestine." There is a video online for those who want to do a little digging. Go to Reddit, where you will see that Mr. Bushnell, spelled Bushnell, he poured a liquid all over the top half of his body, struggled to light himself on fire before finally being able to light, I believe it was his pants, quickly caught on fire. I would say that he was quickly engulfed in flames within a matter of maybe 4. Did you watch this video yet?
It was a very disturbing video.
I'm sorry. What I meant to say was, how many times have you watched this video? That was really the actual question I meant to ask. Is his face actually blurred? Here in this, it is blurred. If you go to Reddit, I believe it's the r/Palestine subreddit, you can watch the entire video of him approaching the consulate while walking, setting the phone down. He is talking to the camera. My story here this week, my story of the week, Aaron Bushnell, is a U.S. Armed Service member who is outraged by what he felt is a genocide going on in Gaza. And he felt that the best way that he could bring attention to the plight of the Gazans,
I think Gazans is correct.
The Gazans is to set himself on fire and immediately die. I mean, there are a couple options. I mean, I'm surprised he didn't go with the get on a plane and fly to Gaza and join a aid society to actually help the people. He felt, hey, let me just burn myself to death. That's really going to do a lot of good. People are going to really remember me. I mean, the best thing that he has to look forward to now is when Rage Against the Machine puts out their best of compilation album in 3 years, he's going to be on the cover of it. And maybe we'll get a bomb track. Sorry. Ron.
Unfortunately, he didn't die right away. I mean, I think he held on for like a day. Like it's a very very disturbing video to watch.
Oh. I wasn't that disturbed at all by it. I've watched decapitation videos for the past 12 years. Like, if they're usacrime.com, one of my favorite websites of all time, when those fuckers decided to put the good videos behind their paywall, that's when I got upset. I forgot what that website was called before they renamed it USA Crime. But I am so used to watching videos of people getting killed. Even Instagram is starting my algorithm now. When I go into the Reels section on Instagram, half of them are like graphic video. Please click this if you want to watch. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm watching this shit. And it's usually people walking across this, a crowded street, getting hit by a car, flipping around, or whatnot.
I mean, hard to imagine you being desensitized to other people.
Wow. Ron,
Anyway.
what's your story of the week?
My story, not as somber. It's kind of almost falls under fuck around and find out. A court in Ireland dismissed a mother's $820,000 insurance claim after a picture emerged of her winning a contest to see who could toss a tree the furthest. Camilla Grabska had claimed that a car accident back in 2019 left her with debilitating pain, leaving her unable to lift heavy bags and keeping her in bed on bad days. And then apparently someone in the courts noticed this picture of her in a local contest heaving a Christmas tree. She had sued her insurance company on the basis that she could not work for over 5 years, claiming past and future loss of earnings. This photo was then published in the newspaper almost a year after the accident. She actually won the Christmas tree throwing contest. And I'm not going to lie, based on that height she's getting, that is fairly impressive.
Well, I would have gone more horizontal with force. She got height on this thing.
Yeah. Now, when she was cross-examined in court about this, she said she still felt pain when she threw the Christmas tree and was smiling in photos because she was trying to, quote, live a normal life. But Judge Carmel Stewart, who presided over the case, said she had no choice but to dismiss the claim because of the picture, which was at odds with the medical evidence provided.
I think that's reasonable.
And then apparently there was I agree. There was also apparently video of her play wrestling with a large Dalmatian dog for up to an hour and a half. Man, this is the thing. If you're going to do insurance fraud these days, you need to lock all your shit down, your social media, everything else. Like, it is so easy these insurance companies are going to try and keep that money from you.
Yeah. And until you get that check, you have to, what was it? Was it the Prestige movie with Christian Bale where, it was just, they were talking about this magician who was literally like living the life, at all times, 24 hours a day. Like, if you're going to do this level of insurance fraud, you can't be taking part in Christmas tree throwing contest. You got to act as if outside of the house, you are physically damaged at all times, especially until you get the check. Once you get the check, hopefully, things start to cool off, wait a couple years, then you could start going out there and start lifting heavy objects.
I mean, you need to wait. Like, this was literally within a year after the accident that she's, trying to participate in Christmas tree throwing contests.
Yeah, you just can't do that. It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense anymore, people.
Things need to make sense, Brian. So we have a couple of we try and stay away from politics, but every now and then we get stories that they drag us back in, don't they, Brian? We try to escape and they drag us back in. So first, going up to Massachusetts, where there is a candidate. She is running to represent a Boston area district in the Massachusetts Republican Party State Committee, who apparently is an avowed neo-Nazi who has pledged the mass expulsion of Jews from the United States. The woman's name is Lori Kaufman, pictured here, and she posted on her Twitter account last weekend, "Don't forget, I'll likely get voted into office on March 5th. Long-term goals are to ban same-sex marriage," and then in parentheses, "never should have been legalized, and trans will be illegal. Yes, illegal. I will also exile all Jews."
Whoa!
According to a local news outlet, they said about her, quote, "She divides her love between Kanye West and Hitler and blames a COVID-19 shot for giving her stage 4 brain cancer. She has also posted a meme of herself holding a payphone with the words, 'Hi, Hitler. It's 2024 here, and we're requesting your assistance.'"
What is her OnlyFans? Just wondering what she's charging.
We'll have to see.
We've seen photos like this for a couple of weeks, and that's definitely an OnlyFans photo.
Yeah, she had apparently been running as a ticket with state committee candidate Daniel Kelly, but now apparently hates him because he publicly supported Israel. So it will be interesting to see. So next week, hopefully, Boston shows that they're a little bit better than that. I mean, I don't know how, as a city or a state, you could potentially defend. You know, it would be one thing if this came out after the fact, but she's literally just putting it out on her Twitter account and talking about this.
All right, Brian, how much have you given to her campaign?
I have not. I have not donated to her campaign. And she may not also be the worst GOP candidate that made the news this week. That might go to Daryl Leon McClanahan III. Judging by that name, yes, he is from the South. He is the Missouri GOP candidate for governor. And this photo came out recently. Pictures of him next to a Klan member in a cape burning a cross, posing in front of the Iron Cross flag. So, but apparently, Brian, he said it's not as bad as it seems because he was only a, quote, honorary member in the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's reasonable. I mean, he didn't get the robe or the hood.
Right.
He still has to show, obviously that he's wearing some type of, all access laminate that he around his neck on that picture on the right. I will say he's got the right angle for the arm in the air. If you look at,
it's clearly not his first time making the Hitler salute, without a doubt.
Absolutely. I swear to God, the South here is so scary. The South in this country is just fucking scary.
I mean, the North is getting pretty bad too in some areas. But that was that's
only in Massachusetts.
That's some of the political candidates we've seen this week. Corporations, Brian, also took a bit of a beating this past week. Starting off with Wendy's, when it was announced that they were apparently planning Uber-style surge pricing, where burger prices could fluctuate based on demand. Now, we've talked in the past, Brian. There are very few issues where the internet can band together against something.
Sure.
But this was one of those few issues. You fuck with people's fast food, Brian, and it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. It doesn't matter what your religious views are. It doesn't matter what color your skin is. People do not want to pay more for a Baconator at lunch than they would in the early afternoon.
Is Wendy's really that popular that people, because the idea is this, I actually don't have a huge problem with this.
Okay.
In the sense of, as long as they are advertising, hey, we're super busy right now, we're slammed, and therefore we are going to raise prices while we are going through this crunch, and in hopes that as we raise prices, it will lower the demand so that we can operate at a normal, steady pace. I don't have a problem with this. I mean, if you actually look at what it is like to work in and obviously I've only watched the videos of fast food workers when they are going through some type of trial or tribulation. But if you look at the videos, it looks like just a really, an emotional grind with the way you are treated. People, the customers treat you openly disrespectfully. If there's anything wrong with their work, well, you know what? Make them pay a little bit more to get back into a more realistic expectation of what kind of service they can expect.
I mean, I'll say this. I worked fast food in my younger days, and dealing with customers back then was horrific. I can't even imagine. Well, you see the videos these days of what people
sure.
Go through. So apparently,
actually, Allie makes a great point here. They're going to raise the prices, but they aren't going to raise the pay. And that's bullshit. That's a great point. That is an absolutely great point. Yes. Keep going, Ron. What was it like?
It was just, when I first started off, I worked for Burger King, home of the Whopper. You may be familiar with them.
Yep.
And I worked weekend maintenance. So I was the guy that got there at like 6 a.m. and, would change the fryers, wash the floors. And the best thing was the majority of my day did not involve dealing with customers because I
Sure.
was, but then I eventually moved more into like regular hours, and it was just, I remember we packed somebody's order. He had picked it up for, I guess, for his lunch, for his buddies. And we realized after he had left that we had forgotten a Whopper. So when he came back, I saw him coming through the door. So I knew we had forgotten one of his items. I grabbed a freshly made Whopper. I put it in a bag. And as he came up and he was like, you forgot my effing Whopper. I'm like, sorry, sir. Yes, we realized that after you left. Here's your replacement Whopper. We apologize. He took the bag. He turned sideways to face the dining room, dropped it, and kicked it across the entire restaurant.
Really?
And we were just like, all right, you have a good day then, sir.
Yeah, that's on you, buddy. That's not our fault. Right. I have a question, Ron. You said that you used to show up to work around 6 a.m.?
Those were in the younger days. Now it's,
I was going to say,
11.
What happened? Yeah, what happened to that famous Ron work ethic that you used to be able to be so proud of? It seems to be the opposite now. Nowadays, you're just sitting there being like, "Well, I just ended a meeting. Guess I earned myself a nap."
Now you work yourself to a level, where a good 15, 20-hour work week is enough. Sure.
So stressful. By the way, also, where's the belt? Where's the belt?
Actually, I have it back on the back shelf this week. It's kind of blocked by my name showing up. Let me see if I take the name down real quick.
Disrespectful of the belt.
Where is
you may as well just drop it. You may as well just drop it on.
See, there's the belt. You can see the belt right over there. All right.
Thank you much. I feel better now.
Also getting dragged this week, the Kellogg's CEO. Who said, you should eat cereal for dinner. Going to be complaining that prices are going up so much. So this was Gary Pilnick, chairman and CEO of Kellogg, whose annual compensation apparently is over $4 million. He was on CNBC's Squawk on the Street and urged consumers to consider swapping out their usual dinner for a bowl of cereal. And they're even, I don't know if you saw it, Brian, they even have commercials now with Tony the Tiger, saying, hey, folks, Frosted Flakes for dinner is great.
I have to admit, I grew up in a lower middle class home. We did have cereal for dinner at times. And I'm going to tell you something. To be able to knock out a bowl of Cheerios with some raisins and a banana for dinner on a Sunday evening, that thing was delicious. I'm not going to complain. I actually think that's not a bad idea. However, for a CEO of an American corporation to sit there and say, hey, Americans, you're all going through some tough times, instead of actually putting, vegetables in front of your kids, why don't you just feed them some grains like we're fucking cows? Shameless. Well, now, what kind of profits are they pulling in? Because I remember they increased prices during the pandemic, made the boxes smaller, and are reporting record profits. Fuck them.
Yeah, and the general response on the internet was like, people saying, for those times in my life I was eating breakfast for dinner, I wasn't doing well. But to your point, it's good every now and then. Like if you don't feel like cooking, maybe a nice bowl of frosted mini wheats. Crispecks. I'm a big fan of Crispecks. I don't like the sweet cereals as much as I used to.
Not anymore. I can't eat that shit. What is Crispecks?
Crispecks is like a rice, almost like a Chex type grain cereal.
I don't think I've ever had these.
I highly recommend it. I was on a grape nuts kick for a while.
Oh, grape nuts. That's a rough cereal. I mean, the damage that grape nuts does to your inner cheek, because that's literally like chewing on just, literal stones. No amount of soaking. That's the thing. That's what I remember about grape nuts was no matter how long you had them sitting in milk, they softened not one bit. Like Rice Krispies would literally start breaking apart within seconds of being exposed to milk. Cheerios would take a little while to soften, even like a cornflake. But you get a bowl of grape nuts, that you could go back to it 20 minutes later, scoop it out, and you are just grinding on those teeth after it. That's your thing. Interesting.
Brian asking from his ivory tower, what is Crispecks? Yes, very nice. And
What are
Billy
you
nailed
talking
it.
about?
Crispix is crispy times 2. It's rice and corn, Brian. It is crispy times 2. Do you have any cereal? Speaking of which, do you have any cereal in your palatial palace right now?
No, we do not. This is not a cereal. This is a bread breakfast household. So
Okay.
we'll do some toast with our coffee in the morning, or on a Saturday we'll make some eggs
Okay.
with some bread. Like, this is not a I don't even know if I have like the standard Jewish lactose intolerance issue. I don't really I think I got tired of buying milk and throwing it out. So somebody recently introduced me to lactate. Is that it?
Lactate, yes. Yep.
Where it's like, it's somehow milk, but it lasts for like 4 months in the fridge. I don't understand how that's possible, because I remember when I was buying milk, regular, like red cat milk. 4 days later, you'd have to throw that shit out because it would
Right.
start turning. Somehow this stuff lasts in the fridge for 2 months. But I've got lactate in the house. The lady likes it with her coffee. But I'm pretty much I can't even remember the last time I had milk.
Okay.
That's not true. I probably had some cream at some point, but that's neither here nor there. But I'm not a cereal person.
All right.
Not a cereal. What about Mrs. Ron? Does Mrs. Ron like cereal?
She's not a huge fan. She'll do like a protein bar in the morning. I kind of rotate depending on my mood. I'll do like half a bagel some days. I'll do cereal some other days. I also am a fan of blueberry Eggos, like just a couple of them, no syrup, just the blueberries make them sweet enough. Just toast a couple of those, and it's a good breakfast.
See, that's a dangerous habit, because before you know it, I'm putting a little butter on it. Then I am going to put a little syrup, and next thing you know, I'm getting fat again. We don't want that. We don't want that to happen.
It's all about control, Brian. More important question for you, Brian.
Sure.
What are you watching?
So last night, the lady and I watched The Whale, which was I want to say 2 or 3 years old. Brendan Fraser's return to Hollywood, where he plays a morbidly obese man in his last days as he tries to connect with his daughter. Brutal. Like, I did not know that. I really had not exposed myself much to that movie when it was out. I knew that he played a fat person. I did not have an understanding of how large an individual he was playing. I am very surprised that I'm not aware of any protests that were happening by the plus size community, who were upset that a average weighted person was wearing basically what's what I'm thinking of, add-ons, fat suits, as opposed to Hollywood going out and hiring a 700-pound actor to play that role. There's one scene where he's in the bathroom taking a shower, and it's basically like he's got the washcloth taped to a stick, and he's just like, lift and fold. It's just brutal to watch. Really, like afterwards, I think we finished it probably around like 9:30, and I said to the lady, I was like, "So what do you want to watch?" And she was like, "Something a little bit more lighthearted." I was like, "I don't think we're not going to struggle."
Ending was the ending was gut wrenching. Like, the ending was absolutely just tore the heart right out of you.
Well, what I thought was really impressive was how they genuinely made him look worse and worse throughout the movie. And the thing is, it was based on a play, which I did not realize. But it takes place over like less than a week. It all takes place inside of his apartment, because he can't leave the house. He's that big. So I watched that. I also started watching a show on Apple Plus called Constellation. I don't know if you've watched it.
I haven't. No.
I don't know. I'm 2 episodes in, and it's not grabbed me yet, and they're still setting up the story. It's another space story. American and Russian astronauts are at the International Space Station. They are running some type of experiment. That actor Jonathan Banks from Breaking Bad, Mr. Ehrmantraut, he is overseeing. They're not really. It's some type of top secret lasers. Kind of confusing. And 2 episodes in, the astronauts start to die. Then they get rushed back to Earth, and somehow the space-time continuum seems to have shifted. That's where we are 2 episodes in. I'm not sure I'm going to like it, but I will not quit it.
All right. I mean,
That's what I
Stephen King
watched this
tweeted
week.
that he liked the first 2 episodes. So that's why I was kind of interested in maybe checking it out.
I'm not going to give up on it, but I find it confusing.
All right. That all you're watching? Blow your nose. So what am I watching, you ask, Brian? Of course. My wife keeps catching up on the latest episodes of Love is Blind, which just, not that I have a lot of faith in humanity to begin with, but it just sucks the soul out of me.
I can't. Don't you judge her a little bit? Don't you judge her a little bit as a human person that this is what she does for her entertainment? Because I know people that watch that 90 Day Fiance, and I have to admit,
She also likes Married at First Sight. So, listen, I have, as she often says, you watch pro wrestling, so you don't have a lot of room to talk. And I'm like, fair statement.
Fair.
But
right,
I started watching a new docuseries on Netflix this week called American Conspiracy: The Octopus Murders. It is.
I watched 2 episodes today. I knocked out 2 today.
Holy shit! Is well. All right. I'll give you my.
Or maybe I knocked out one. Talk to me. What are your thoughts? Describe it first for the people.
We've watched 3 episodes. We've got one more to go. So basically, it starts off about this filmmaker who is investigating the 1991 death of a journalist named Danny Casolaro, who, the record is that he committed suicide in a hotel in West Virginia. However,
one of your hotels or no?
No, this was a Sheraton, I believe. So they noticed, like, they questioned whether it was a suicide because he had literally slashed one arm 8 times, the other 4. The one he slashed so deep that his hand wouldn't have even been able to work to cut the other arm. Mm-hmm. Regardless, they dig into this book that he was writing that was looking into this case called the Inslaw case, where this is back in the 80s. This company called Inslaw had started to develop a computer program called Promise because, back before the internet, there wasn't really a way for police departments and law enforcement to track cases and things. So this was revolutionary software that this Inslaw contracted with the DOJ to develop. And then apparently the DOJ drove this company into bankruptcy. And as they dig further and further into it, he finds about what Danny Casolaro referred to as the octopus. And it's all these major things that happened in American history where it ties back to these 8 individuals involved in, government at the highest levels. We're talking George Bush Sr. We're talking William Casey, former head of the FBI, all former government officials, security officials. They even put up this diagram throughout where one arm is the October surprise that helped Reagan get elected back in 1980.
Yes.
The default of the savings and loan industry. So basically it ties together government with organized crime, drug dealing, casinos, everything else, but worldwide. So it is it's a bunch of shady characters. And it's one of those documentaries where you don't know whose word to take, but it's also one of those things where in the back of your mind, you're like, not that hard to believe. It's not a stretch to believe that our government would be involved in this kind of stuff.
Yeah. From what I've seen so far, I stopped. I got to the point where they were talking about the October surprise, which was that the Reagan campaign in 1980, when they were running against Jimmy Carter, negotiated with the Iranian government to hold back releasing U.S. hostages until after Election Day. So this way Americans could go into the election booth angry at a feckless Jimmy Carter and vote with their hearts for Ronald Reagan, even though the Iranian government was already willing to give up hostages. That's where I got to. So far, everything that I've watched, utterly believable. It has not reached that point of, this is a conspiracy theory. The idea that the the Republican Party in 1980 would come up with, hey, let's do something shady that is going to benefit us, and then deal with the after effects of it with some more shady shit. This is the same campaign. This is the same administration that openly agreed to the Iran-Contra scandal, which was...
And they tie in the Iran-Contra scandal in episode 2.
Yeah. So the idea that administration would have been above, bankrupting an American company so that they could steal the proprietary software that this company had created to use it for their own benefit and their friends of the administration's benefit. Very believable. I'm interested to see where the story goes.
Yeah. I mean, in episode 2, they get more into some other murders that are tied to this case, and then it's a very interesting documentary. It's very believable. I mean, I'm not even going to spoil episode 3 for you, but there's a part of episode 3 where I just literally shook my head and was like, if this is real, this is fucking ridiculous. And you will know that point when you get to it.
Is that the episode when they said that Attorney General Edwin Meese announced that for as long as it would be possible, he was going to ensure that dollar dog nights would continue at Citizens Park Bank? Is that what, when he said that he was personally going to fund dollar dog nights? Is that the part when you were just head explode right there in your suburban home?
Maybe that's in the final episode. I'll let you know if that comes up. But definitely check it out. 4 episodes, about an hour each.
Looks good.
Definitely worth the watch, especially if you're like William and you don't like Ronald Reagan to begin with. This will just give you some additional reasons not to.
Right. Now, at any point did they interview Walter Hudson for the documentary?
They did not. Not that I've seen. Walter Hudson wasn't available. Yeah.
Wasn't available. Because I think he had a lot of interesting things to say about the Reagan administration. What else do we have here?
We've got, but the drag queens are the problem. Everybody was excited.
They're always
the
problem.
Brought back one of our more popular segments last week, but the drag queens are the problem. We continuously try to find stories where drag queens are the problem. Hopefully, we have some of those this week. This is going down to Kanawha County in West Virginia. A gentleman by the name of Rhett Aaron Bowen of Charleston. Is he a drag queen? No, he was a volunteer at a vacation Bible school in Kanawha City. He pled guilty to 2 counts of first-degree sexual abuse in a case dating back to 2017. Following his 2019 arrest, he said investigators said additional victims came forward, telling police Bowen had made sexual contact with them. He had been out on bail previously. That was revoked in 2023 after officials said he became active on social media, which violated conditions of his bond. He will be sentenced April 8th. No word on what the potential length of time he's facing.
Let's hope a lot of time.
You would hope. You would hope. I mean, what would be a good amount of time? What's the over under on what you would think would be acceptable?
I'm going to say he's going to get 5 years. He should get castrated and be put to death.
All right, there you go. Down in Longview, Texas, this is Jennifer Puckhaber, age 37. She was charged with sexual assault of a child on February 23rd in connection with a February 16th incident. According to the arrest affidavit, the child's mother called police about messages that were sent to her child from an adult. The mother told police, Puckhaber had texted her child asking them to come into Puckhaber's room and lock the door. The child later told their mother that Puckhaber had sexually assaulted them. An analysis of the child's phone showed that she had sent inappropriate photos to the child. Police said Puckhaber knew what she did was wrong because she texted the mother and asked her not to pursue charges because, quote, it would destroy her family. She apparently was a volunteer at the Fellowship Bible Church, but not a member. She had passed a background check. However, she is accused of this, and she was relieved of her volunteer duties. She posted a $150,000 bond to get out of jail until her trial.
That's a lot of
Clearly,
money.
we have to find someone here that is a drag queen.
Can I just say something that might not be politically correct right now?
I mean, has anything ever stopped you in the past?
I'm afraid of what those photos would look like. That mugshot that you put up, I don't want to see the photos. That, if you had said to me, hey, I got some photos that got leaked on the internet, I'd be like, all right, I'll see it. I've been so desensitized, I think, as we've established earlier on in the show.
Right.
I don't want to see those photos that she was sending that child. And also, what's the definition of child in this case? Under 18? Or are we talking
I would imagine under 18, yes. Yeah, I would imagine under 18. Going back down to West Virginia for this next one, Brian. Gotta think this is a drag queen, because West Virginia is a hotbed of drag activity. Yes. No, sorry. This is a former St. Albans auxiliary police officer who is going to be spending the next 11 years in prison for receipt of child pornography and possession of prepubescent child pornography. So this is Billy J. Griffith. He had been an auxiliary officer with the St. Albans Police Department for about 7 years. His wife operated a daycare at their residence. Back in 2022, law enforcement officers executed a search warrant when they traced his IP address based on downloading multiple digit files of child pornography. A total of 3,400 images and 4 videos depicting child pornography came from an external hard drive, a desktop computer, a laptop computer, and a cell phone. Disturbing.
Why are there so many evil people on this planet? And that's a rhetorical question. I don't expect you to really answer it, but it's just, I don't understand it. And so many of these people are involved in churches. So many of these people are, and it's and what's scary over the last couple, last 10 years or so. So many of these are becoming teachers.
Yeah, there's a lot of disturbing stuff. This last story might be the most disturbing of them all, and again, does not involve a drag queen. This is it's about an Oregon father who is accused of using smoothies to drug his daughter's 12-year-old friends during a sleepover, reportedly watching them as they blacked out and moving one girl's body onto a bed before he was caught. According to court documents, police in Lake Oswego, Oregon, were called to a local hospital back in August of 2023 after 3 12-year-old girls tested positive for benzodiazepine, a depressant that causes sedation and hypnosis. The girls told police they had attended a sleepover the night before at their friend's house, where the friend's father, 57-year-old Michael Maiden, made mango smoothies and insisted they drink them after a night of movies in the basement. The girls told officers the smoothies had, quote, tiny white chunks throughout and sprinkled on top. One girl tried to decline the smoothie, but Maiden reportedly made her a second one and insisted she drink it. Maiden monitored her consumption and got mad when he saw that the girls were drinking out of each other's drinks. He had given each of them a different colored reusable straw and insisted they drink out of their own cup. As the girls started to fall asleep, one of them managed to stay awake. At 1:43 a.m., she sent a text to her mother that said, quote, "Mom, please pick me up and say I had a family emergency. I don't feel safe. I might not respond, but please come get me. Please pick me up. Please, please."
Jesus. That's scary.
Yeah. So he is facing 6 felony charges and 3 misdemeanors, 3 counts of causing another to ingest a controlled substance, 3 counts of application of a Schedule 4 controlled substance, and 3 counts of delivery of a controlled substance to a minor. Brian, how much do you think his bail was?
I'm going to say his bail was $75,000.
$50,000, which he posted. According to court records, he and his wife divorced less than 2 months after the sleepover. Shocking.
After.
First
off, I'm offended by by the smug smirk he has on his face in that mugshot. Just that.
That was
I'm getting it
actually
off
his
of this. I'm a
LinkedIn.
white male.
That was his LinkedIn.
Oh, that's
post.
LinkedIn?
That was his
Oh, because that
LinkedIn
looks like a
post.
mugshot. That looks like a mugshot.
He was. He's actually involved in human resources. Apparently, gotta watch those HR people.
What?
Before we run out of time, Brian, we got to talk about a couple of celebrity obituaries. People that passed away this week. Let me see, Matt. Did you pull up the photos? Such a pain in the ass. Hold on. Let me get
Where's
one of
that?
them up. Going back to, we are fans of professional wrestling. We talk about this every now and then on the show. And a legend, Brian, a legend in the world of professional wrestling passed away this past week. I am, of course, referring to Mike Jones, also known as Virgil, who used to work for the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. I know this was back when you and I were both pretty deep into WWF wrestling. He then became I don't want to say kind of a punchline on the circuit, but he was a man that was willing to do anything for money, whether it was sell photos, cameos, signatures, what have you. He was a man that loved a good payout.
Hey, he had bills to pay and was not ashamed to sit there and say, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to be able to generate some income. I question the use of the term legend, wrestling legend. I always felt that he was more of a B-level character. And keep in mind, I wasn't really that active a wrestling fan when he came on the scene. It always felt slightly racist. The storylines between him and Ted DiBiase made me a little uncomfortable. Even as I was like 14.
So you're saying the storyline of a white man effectively owning a black man, you were uncomfortable by that?
Yeah, it did. It made me uncomfortable just as much as those tight, vertically lined pants that he's wearing in this photo are making me uncomfortable, because I am spending an inordinate amount of time trying to see where his bulge is, because I'm following the lines and I think I figured it out, and I'm not sure that I'm thinking that he's got a very large package.
Listen, the only thing I think he loved more than money was white women. He referred to himself often as the meat sauce god, and offered his meat sauce to many women via social media, and apparently allegedly in person at autograph signings and cons and things of that nature.
Are you talking his ejaculate when he says meat sauce?
I don't know. I didn't really want to dig that deeply into the whole.
Or was he actually creating his own bolognese sauce that he was making in the hotels, and then he would just bottle it up and bring it in? Anyway, he's not doing that anymore because he's dead.
Not anymore. Also passing away this week, and this one hurt, Brian. I think this one, we were both fans of Richard Lewis, passing away at the age of 76, was it?
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah.
Apparently via heart attack.
Well, I mean, listen, I think, he had really kind of, in my opinion, kind of had a second or third wave of his career with Curb Your Enthusiasm. I remember watching him as a stand-up comedian back in the days of comic relief. I remember, when stand-up comedy really wasn't a huge industry. But I remember he had this very neurotic Jewish character stand-up that he would do. And I remember just sitting there saying, I'm going to base my entire personality on this. Where it was all just like, the world is out to get me, paranoia, I'm not feeling well, what's wrong with my tummy, that kind of shtick. And I just remember thinking he was very funny. Then he kind of went away for a couple years, maybe 15, 20 years. I'm sure he was, doing shows in Vegas, whatnot, Reno, Lake Tahoe. I was going to name a couple more, but I won't.
What was the TV show that he did with, was it Jamie Lee Curtis? And
yes, it was Jamie Lee Curtis. Together? Yes. Yeah, I don't remember the name of it. I'm going to blow my nose.
But I mean, great stand-up. His stuff on Curb Your Enthusiasm. I mean, he and Larry David, very long.
A whole new generation.
Go. And I think the best thing about it was, when you saw the two, when you saw he and Larry David act in the clips that I've seen on Curb Your Enthusiasm,
Mhm.
like the improv that they do, and the fact that
Yeah.
like they legitimately would crack each other up, and they would leave
You would see
like the
it. You would see
genuine
it. Yeah.
laughter in, and that just
Yeah.
Anything But Love. Thank you, Janelle. That was the
That's it.
sitcom, Anything But Love, and I used to watch that show. And he was
I never
it was
watched it.
interesting because they tried to make him like the love interest of Jamie Lee Curtis, and then no one in America bought it, so
Nobody
they
could
kind of
buy that.
shifted
Yeah.
that they shifted that angle away in the show.
Yeah. The thing is just that a whole generation of Americans um, just we're not aware of his stand-up comedy. They only know him through Curb Your Enthusiasm. And he plays such a great character as Larry David's best friend, who is
Right.
almost more neurotic than Larry David. He makes Larry David seem normal. But like you said, the way they would play off of each other with this kind of like love-hate relationship where they would just keep, just giving each other hard times and it would build up to a yelling session. Just some of the high points of that show. It's really ironic timing of his passing because the final season of Curb Your Enthusiasm started maybe 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And the number of people I've spoken to who are Curb fans all commenting how awful Richard Lewis looks in this season. Right. That they were like, my God, this man looks close to death. 3 weeks later, it's announced he just died. Like they're literally in the scenes that he's in this season, at least, ghostly white. There is no he looked like Brendan Fraser in the last scene of The Whale minus about 600 pounds.
But there you go. One last story. Let's see if we can get to it, Brian. You love this story. Going out to California, the doctor who apparently refuses to move from his $16 million cliffside mansion, despite warnings it could slide into the ocean. Here is a photo that is his mansion, kind of in the center with all the tarps draped over the edge of the cliff. But I think everybody has kind of seen this. On the news, talking about the rains and the mudslides in California, and all these houses on the cliffs, multi-million-dollar homes that are going to fall and crash. And this guy is just
refusing to leave.
Keeps hanging out. 82-year-old radiologist Louis Brugman.
Now we're talking an 8-figure home. I think that the home on the left that you're looking at, or it might be the one in the center of like the one to the right. These are houses where you're literally looking at a $10 million home. And the ground that they were built on has been worn off by the weather, by rains over time. You can see that they are perilously on the edge of what used to not be a cliff is now a cliff. And it is inevitable that these houses are going to crumble. It is only a matter of time. It could be tomorrow, could be next month, could be 5 years from now. It's one of the things that I was worried about when investing in my ivory tower in West New York was, since I'm so high on the cliff, like, how long until there is deterioration of the waterfront area? I have been told that it is at least another 30 years before the Hudson River will rise and take over the land that I live on. But I love the fact that, yes.
I was just going to say those homes next to his are worth 15.9 million, 14.1 million, and 12.9 million. So, I mean, you've got, with all those homes there, you've got almost $100 million worth of real estate that probably, according to the city, the houses are still structurally, no one's paying that kind of money for them now.
Nobody's going to buy that property.
That is also what's kind of hilarious to me.
And what insurance company is insuring that home now? Yeah, what insurance company is going to insure that home right now? None.
I don't even know. I don't even know. Well, Brian, a great episode.
Another stellar episode.
Just the kind of episode, that people sit around on a Sunday night, they light a fire, they pour themselves a glass of wine, maybe a fine scotch, and hopefully we have entertained everybody as much as we've entertained ourselves. I mean, we generally do that. We will be getting ready for After Dark. If you are not a Patreon member, Brian mentioned it at the beginning of the podcast. We do an extra half hour of content every week called After Dark for our Patreon subscribers. If you go to ronandbrianpodcast.com, click in the upper right corner, you can join. And a special benefit on March 13th, Brian will be keeping everybody advised to his colonoscopy prep. I would also like some post-colonoscopy after you come out of the Prohypnol. I'd like you to kind of speak to how you feel after the procedure.
I'm going to ask the lady. Yeah, I'm going to ask the lady to video it. I'm asking the lady to video as much of it as possible.
All right, and it'll be a major talking point on our episode 2 weeks from now. So thank you all for joining us. We hope you enjoy your Sunday night. We hope you join us on the Patreon. But again, we get it. It's Bidenomics. If you're eating cereal for breakfast, you probably can't subscribe to the Patreon. But just think about it. That's all we ask. Brian, anything additional before we get out of here today?
No. This has been a lovely way to spend this another Sunday evening. Ron, I look forward to this every weekend, and I am so glad to close out my weekend with this. However, for those people who are enjoying this show for free, this is it. This is the end of the road for episode 294. For those people who are members of our Patreon, you've got another, at minimum, 30 minutes of bonus content, stories on OnlyFans, stories of porn stars, things that YouTube does not want us talking about, things Facebook cannot handle, just steamy, sexy, spicy. That's our After Dark.
Bringing the heat. All right. Well said, my friend. Love you, and thank you for joining us. We will catch all of you next Sunday.
Thank you for joining us on the Ron and Brian podcast. We're live each week on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You can find prior episodes, links to our social media, and everything else Ron and Brian at ronandbrianpodcast.com. See you again next week.